Ladies and gentlemen, it is the one and the only Sir Hale speaks in the building. Ladies and gentlemen, it's good to see everybody tonight. I'm glad that you guys are here. We are in for a fantastic show. Welcome to Ernest Hale Podcast, better known as Sir Hale Speaks in the building. It's good to see everybody. Listen, we've got a great show tonight, and I've got an outstanding guest that if you guys have been following me for any length of time, you have seen her a time or two. I'm excited today because we get a chance to dig into a conversation that I think needs to be had. That centers around not only therapy, but the reasons and the motivations for why we go to therapy. So we're going to be talking about some triggers and trauma, and we're really going to discuss just on a very just regular conversation, is therapy worth it, particularly today? And who better to have this conversation with the one of the only person who has, we have these conversations and we can go deep and we can go surface, we can have fun. You know, we're going to bring up our guest today. Jasmine Says It All, better known as Jasmine Allen. She's a coach, someone who's educated in this field, and I'm really excited to have her on tonight. But before we get into the show, I want to ask everyone who's watching, have you hit the like button? If you haven't hit the like button, I think it's disrespectful. Let's just put it out there. It's disrespectful. So take a few seconds, hit the like button. If you are not yet subscribed to our channel, take a few seconds and subscribe to our channel. We're going to have a fantastic show, and I want to make sure we get the housekeeping out the way. Without further ado, everybody, I'm going to bring to the stage the one and the only Jasmine Says It All, Jasmine Allen. She's in the building. You guys show some love in the comments. We're going to have a fantastic conversation. Miss Jasmine, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. It's good to see you. I think it's been, how long has it been since we've done a show?
Oh, it's been some time.
It's been a couple years, right?
Yes.
Or it seems like it.
It seems like it, yes.
Yep. Well, I'm glad that you're on here. Everybody, if you haven't recognized Jasmine, go back, look at some of our old panel discussions, and you will see we didn't have several conversations. So I'm glad that you're on today. Before we get into it, though, let me ask you a question. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm feeling blessed. I'm doing good. Blessed and highly favored. Yes.
Excellent. Well, you look like it. Just seem like you're blessed and highly favored. If you don't mind me asking, what's causing you to be blessed and highly favored? I know the answer, but I just want you to give us some details.
Well, if I had to sum it up in one word, it would be God, but just really being in alignment with my true authentic self is the reason why I'm in such a good mood.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay, guys, listen, we're going to have Jasmine's link, because she's coaching. She's did a commercial for L'Oreal. She's opened up a real estate company. She sells cars. I mean, she does all of it. Jasmine says it all. We're going to have her link so that you can connect with her. Yeah, that does it all. Yes. So we're gonna have her link in the comments so we can connect with her: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, so on and so forth. But before we get into the show, let's kind of get to know you a little bit. So you are someone who speaks. If you look on TikTok, you're always encouraging. YouTube, always encouraging. Facebook, always encouraging. Every time you look up, you have something motivational or inspirational to say. These little quick nuggets that you like. Listen, I know who this is for. And then you go into a nice message. Where did that come from?
Well, at first I was, I'm a firm believer that a lot of times when we experience things in our past, we kind of let our past determine our future. But when you understand that, like, that's not the finish line, and you can always be making steps for improvement and things like that, it makes you want to be better in life. But at first I was doing like the really long videos, and I saw I wasn't getting much traction with the long videos. And it's crazy because my daughter is 13. She was like, "Ma, you making your videos too long. You saying some really good stuff, but people attention span is so short right nowadays. Try making the videos in like 10 seconds." So that's why I was making the videos like really, really short, get straight to the point so that I can grasp my audience attention.
That makes a lot of sense. Listen, I think I'm gonna have to take some lessons from you. I'll be going in straight lecture mode. So
Yeah.
I think maybe I need to scale back a little bit, make it a little bit more concise and digestible. So that's fantastic. But I want to ask a question though, like the positivity. It's like you're intentional about saying something useful and meaningful. Like where does that that desire come from?
To be honest, really just always feel like it's so much negativity in the world. We don't need nobody else putting nothing negative out there. So like it don't hurt to say nothing positive. You never know who day that you're changing, who life you impacting by saying one positive thing. So just really just trying to be positive. It's too much bad stuff going on out there in the world anyway. Everybody already fighting their own demons. So to get on social media, you study strolling, and in the midst of you strolling, just seeing folks talk about bad stuff is more like it's depressing. So just really trying to encourage people to like really focus on the good things that's going on and encourage them to be better. That's all.
Excellent. Listen, I think that's good. I think in the world where everybody is focused on self, and that's just the culture we live in, everybody is focused on themselves, taking some time to say something meaningful and you do it in a way that they can receive. I think that's good. We need more people like that. So salute to you on that.
And then also mental illness is real. So that's a lot of one big topic that a lot of people don't talk about it until it's too late. So just really being a person from the outside looking in and seeing that, and then being one that struggled with some mental things and family members, it's like, okay, this stuff is real. Like when people are really going through mental issues, they don't necessarily always look for help, but there's always signs. So
Excellent. Y'all give me 2 seconds. My dog Darla in the background is giving y'all, you hear her?
yeah, go ahead, do
Yes,
your
she's
thing.
giving me a run for my money. Yeah, so all right, listen. So let's move it on. Let's get to know you a little bit more. So Miss Jasmine. So the audience wants to know: Are you married? Are you single? Are you just in school? Like, so tell us about your life, if you don't mind sharing.
Okay, so as far as my love life, if that's what you're asking about, the love life. So you kind of just went mute. You went mute.
Yeah, yeah. We're talking about yeah.
Okay, as far as my love life currently, I am single. I am seeing someone though. So
Okay.
I'm kind of taking it slow because I kind
Okay.
so yeah, so I'm taking it slow right now. Just really learning how to date because in the past I didn't know how to date. I just meet someone, ooh, he's checking off some of these boxes, and I kind of like lock in and not really date appropriately. And then found myself in some situationships. So I'm kind of taking my time right now, but I am single, but I'm dating with intention. So
Okay, that makes sense. So
yeah.
if let me ask a little bit. So a lot of times people don't learn from their experiences. Like we both know this, like we both know this, right?
Mhm.
They just change faces and then hope everybody else changes. So if you could sum up one thing that you've learned about yourself that you've improved in from your experiences, what's one thing that you've learned that's helping you to move forward in terms of your dating?
To censor myself in my life, censor myself because a lot of time as women, especially when we have that deep desire to be share ourselves with someone long term, what we tend to do is wrap that individual, like wrap our life around that individual. So instead of doing that, I'm just censoring myself, letting that person be who they choose to be. I be who I choose to be, and if it works well, then it works well. If it doesn't, it's no hard feelings. We tried it. On to the next. So yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I think that maybe it's a trauma response when we latch on very quickly and we need somebody to be our center. But
Mhm.
we're going to get into that. So thank you for sharing that. Everybody, it's important if you're in relationships. It's important. In order to move forward, you've got to address the things that hold you back, right? And if you are spending more time assessing the other person and not yourself, you're going to set yourself up for failure. So, Jasmine, thank you for sharing that. Let's
Yeah.
move on. So when I first met you, you were a corrections officer, and so I kind of like to know. So, how did you get into that particular field?
Well, what really started me off as corrections, a little back history. Prior to becoming a correction officer, I was a librarian, and I did that for a while. But
Wait,
my
wait, wait, wait. Whoa. how do you go from librarian to how? Tell me about that transition. How did you do that?
Well, I never really wanted to be a librarian. It was just that once I graduated, that position was there because I was a work study student, and they kind of like just filled me in so that I was able to provide for my child because I was a single parent. But while in college for my bachelor's degree, I majored in criminal justice, but my concentration was in juvenile delinquency. So I really thought I was going to get into some type of investigation work. I applied for the Illinois State Police Department. I was high ranking, but then they ended up doing like a hiring freeze for 2 years. And in the midst of the hiring freeze, I applied to work at the prison's juvenile level in the state of Illinois. So I worked at St. Charles for about 7.5 years, and I did corrections. And then after a while, you get so burnt out working there because you're sacrificing so much of yourself for a coin. It's like, man, I'm not spending time with my family. I'm missing out on things with my friends. I'm missing out on experiences. I'm not able to be present with my daughter. So I ended up and don't get me wrong, the pay was phenomenal. Okay, but I ended up doing a 2 year leave of absence. After the 2 year leave of absence, doing that break, that's when I started my skincare line. I'm like, I mean, anybody knows that as an entrepreneur, what typically happens is you have your good seasons where the money is flowing, then you have those dry spells. And just knowing that, like, dang, I got somebody dependent on me, I'm gonna need some other source of income. So just one day, I just get this email. And it was like, do you still want the job? And I'm like, yeah. So right now I'm a caseworker doing DCFS work. And I enjoy it because even though the job is a high stress job, but it allows me the things that I didn't get to do when I was doing correction is be a present mom for my daughter, as opposed to me saying like, oh, I got all this money, I'm just buy this. And anybody knows, if as a child, because we all been a child before, it's the timing. The timing is more important than gifts. So yeah, that's kind of how I've been like career.
Listen, everybody, Jasmine will read you a book. She'll take care of your skin and throw you in jail. She has a diverse background, which is interesting. That's really cool. That's really cool. So pivoting from that, so what are you doing now?
So right now, I'm still doing the DCFS work. I'm a caseworker. I still have my business. So I have my clients here and there when I can get them. I have my products in a health food store. And I just started a nonprofit at the beginning of this year. Me and two of my business partners, we're opening up a shelter for displaced veterans and because now I'm seeing the back end of working with DCFS. A lot of these children don't have a place to stay. So especially the older children, most people, they want kids under the age of 12. And you can have an older kid and he can be the best kid. And it's unfortunate that him being in the system may not be his fault. And he just won't have a place to go. He'll be bouncing around from place to place. So yeah, got the nonprofit going on. And then also I'm in school right now with my master's degree for my master's in social work. My goal is to get my LCSW so that I can open up my own private practice for therapy.
All right, guys, obviously I'm not doing enough. So I think Jasmine explaining all this has clearly indicated to me I'm not doing enough. Master's degree, you got a nonprofit going, you've got a business happening, still doing social work. Hats off to you. And I bid you very much success in all that you do. Amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing. Sir Vaughn, it's good to see you. Thank you for being here. And to everybody who's joined, thank you for being here. It's good to see you. If you haven't already hit the like button for the channel, and make sure you show some love to the one of the only Jasmine Says It All. She's in the building. So let's get into the meat of the conversation tonight. So I'm doing the show because of a lot of things. I've been in therapy for like the last few years. And I'm going to be candid about my experience. So everybody, story time with Sir Hale. So I think therapy in and of itself is great, the goal of it. But one of the things that I don't think is talked about enough is if you don't get the right person who is really qualified and who understands people beyond what the books say, therapy may not help. It may not help really address trauma. And especially overcoming and dealing with triggers. So let's kind of take this conversation, step by step. From is it that our culture today is too soft? Like, everybody has their sandbox that they play in, and anybody who they don't like, they kick them out. So are we experiencing an overload of trauma, or are we less resilient than we need to be in terms of this culture?
Hmm. I would say less resilient. I know a lot of times, like you were saying something about like the sandbox. I don't know how to put it directly, but a lot of times what happens is we miss the message because we're too busy trying to focus on the messenger as opposed to receiving a message. So when I think about therapy, I look at therapy as a tool. It's not supposed to be something that's long term. You're supposed to go get what you're supposed to get, and then I guess it's kind of like when you're with your personal trainer, they would say, okay, fitness is 30%, your diet is the 70%. So that you spending time with your therapist is that 30%, but actually sitting down, doing the introspection, holding yourself accountable and putting in that work, that would be the other 70%. And a lot of people, especially people of color, do not like to take accountability for their actions. It's always easier to point the finger at somebody else as opposed to say, like, you know what? Look, I've been through this at this point in my life. Now it's time for me to take some type of accountability for the things. So if I want to see the changes in my life, so I think that's pretty much what it is.
Everybody, I do want to apologize on behalf of Jasmine. Like I should have told her that we won't be using profanity tonight, and I wasn't expecting her to use the word accountability because it seems to be a profane word in our culture. So I agree with what you're saying. So what is the basis of accountability? Because from just what I've seen, if people lack the ability to self-reflect, it's hard to hold them accountable because they can't see anything outside of themselves. So do you think that is it that we lack the ability to be accountable, or are we selfish and refuse to see anything outside of our own perspectives?
I would say selfishness. It would be selfishness. Yeah, definitely selfishness.
So how do you challenge that? And can we get a little bit real? So have you ever dealt with that?
A person that didn't want to hold himself accountable.
Mhm.
Yeah, I deal with that with my absence, if I'm being completely transparent, because other than that, it's almost like you're begging someone to change, to be something that they're not willing to be. So you got to be just as crazy as someone that's insane to expect for somebody to be something or do something or have something that they're not willing to do so that it can make you feel better. So when a person don't hold themselves accountable, especially when you know, like, okay, well, they refusing to. The only thing you can do is just remove yourself and allow them to create the space for them to do their own thing. So that's the thing that kind of like worked for me.
That's really good. So, and I'm going to ask, I'm going to make a statement, and then I'm going to ask you and see if you see the same thing. So,
Mhm.
like generally in modern conversations that are culturally in tune and plugged in, it's always one side, one gender is not accountable. In my coaching, I'm going to tell you what I've seen. Lack of accountability is not gender specific. It's about character. I have seen both men and women lack it's like you're complaining about a problem. I am showing you how you're contributing to it and you refuse to see it. Would you say that you see a lack of accountability more so with one particular demographic, or do you see it as a spectrum across different people?
I would say a spectrum, and the spectrum part would be maybe like 25%, but more different demographic. I would say like mainly women don't like to hold themselves accountable. And I hate
Yo,
to
I
say
didn't
that
say it.
because I'm
I
a
didn't say
woman.
it.
I hate to
Jasmine
say that
said
because
it
I'm a
all.
woman. But yeah, I would hate to say that because I'm a woman, but a lot of times as women, we tend to not hold ourselves accountable because it's always easier. Like I said earlier, it's always easier to point the finger at somebody else. And then as a woman, it's always easier for us to look like a victim. You know, most men don't want to look like a victim. We get attention for being a victim. Men don't get
Wow.
attention for being a victim. You guys get criticized for that. So yeah, that's my
Whoa, that's whoa. That was good. Everybody, that was a pretty good point. I'm not quite sure that I've thought about it in that manner, but I see what you're saying. Like, so there was no incentive for men to walk. We'll get talked about very badly if we do that, depending on the audience, right? Men will make you feel bad. If a guy's like, if he's more feminine in terms of his orientation, and he has a group of people who don't hold him accountable, it's easy. But I can't see what you're saying. But let's dig deeper into what this accountability stuff is all about. What is what does it mean? Does it mean to be accountable and to hold oneself accountable?
I guess I would say being responsible for the decisions that you make. When I think about accountability, I think about responsibility. That's the one word that I could think about, being responsible. Being honest. Um, I don't know. I never really just sat down and like, what was the term for accountability? I can go into the definition, but
no, I think those are good.
I just know that a lot of times when we do have these candid conversations, especially on these social media platforms, and we use these terminologies, I kind of always try to step back and remove myself from the definition and see what does this mean to me, because just like the Bible, there's so many versions of the Bible, everything is up for interpretation. So what I may look at as accountability to somebody else is not accountability. It may be me pointing a finger at somebody. So all of that is just subjective. But yeah, just being responsible, taking full responsibility.
You know something, I think it's important to have a definition. I'm going to tell you why. Because if we don't have a something that we agree upon, then there's no need for accountability, because it's all relative.
But would you call that accountability, or would you call that a mutual understanding?
I'll go back to what the word you used. I call it honesty.
Right.
Yep. As I'm saying, when you said that, I think those are really good pillars of accountability. Because if you can be honest with yourself, I think that is the root of everything. And I think that if we analyze a lot of these conversations, people are not being real with themselves, about themselves. Like, that's the basis. And if you can't be honest with you, certainly you can't have an honest experience with anybody else. So I would say that that's a core component of accountability.
I agree.
Yep. Okay, everybody, listen, we're about to get a little bit deeper into this. So tell me about a time where you had to be accountable for your actions. And what was one of the moments where you're like, ooh, this is me.
Okay. I guess since we had just discussed like relationship status or whatever, when I found myself in a situationship, and when things didn't go my way, as opposed to me like pointing the finger at that person, was like, you X, Y, and Z, which is what most women do. When things don't go their way, they always be like, it's the man here, narcissist, he's this, he's that. I had to look at myself and like, you know what? It was signs there. And as opposed to getting upset, I had to just take a step back, do some introspection, figure out what it was that I did wrong, and just say, you know what? You wasn't listening. This person said X, Y, and Z. Even though the actions was different, you didn't listen. So what can I learn from this situation? And a lot of times we don't do that. And part of accountability is, like we were just discussing, being truthful with oneself, assessing the situation, and just figuring out what it is that I can learn from it, so that I can get from point A to point B, so that I won't repeat the same cycles over and over again.
You know, what about the part where it's like being accountable, I feel shamed. And I don't like that nasty feeling of feeling shame because I did something stupid. Like, how do you address somebody who won't be accountable because they don't want to deal with the shame part of it?
I don't know. I can't speak for nobody else, but for me, I don't feel shame, I guess, because I really don't mind being the bad person. A lot of positions that I held as far as work, I've always had to be the person to give the client bad news. So if I'm always in that position where I gotta let somebody down, and even if I'm in a position where I have to let somebody down, it's like, hey, I don't mind being a bad person, even when it hurts. You sometimes somebody got to do it. So I don't feel shame. So I can't expect somebody to do something for me, or make me feel something, or provide me with something, if I'm not willing to offer those same things to me. I guess that's something that I've always lived by. If it's something that you truly desire, you have to be that first. So I don't mind holding myself accountable, but I can't speak for other women though. It's just selfishness. When I do speak to my lady friends, that's what it is. It's selfishness. They just don't want to do it.
That makes sense. All right, y'all, listen, y'all hear, Jasmine is giving it to you real. She giving it to you real.
Sir Hale
Okay, so let's talk about some traumatic events. So, a couple years ago, if we were having this conversation, my temperature, my demeanor, everything would be different because I was in straight debate mode because I want you to understand where you're wrong. And as I've coached and as I've gotten older, you start to realize that people operate from templates. And a lot of those templates are rife with traumatic experiences. So what is trauma? And just on a very general level, what are some of the expressions that someone has gone through trauma?
Okay, so some of the expressions will be you just said something. I just want to kind of like throw something in. People
Sure.
operate not based off that you said something, they operate based off what again?
Templates.
Templates. I think they operate based off where they're at currently in life. That's just a little bit of pushback. But
Okay,
as far
we'll visit.
as far as trauma, you can see those symptoms like whether it's physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. What was the question again? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so like what is trauma and what are some of the expressions of it?
Okay, I would say trauma is an experience that someone that was very detrimental to someone. It caused them to feel something, and that feeling can, like I was just stating, that feeling can be mentally. You can start feeling depressed. You can feel sad, anxiety, stress, feelings of loneliness. And a lot of times when we associate or when we think about trauma, we always associate it with something negative. So because it's not a good feeling. So yeah.
Now,
Um,
so to just to clarify, so each traumatic experiences are negative and they bring up negative feelings, but not every negative feeling means it's a trauma. Is that a fair statement?
yes, exactly.
Excellent. So everybody, I'm saying this because I don't want everybody feeling like every time something bad happens, it was so traumatic. Like trauma is something that happens that is overwhelming to your senses, and you're not able to really compute that, and then it creates a sort of blip in your experiences, and you can feel it even if you're not in it. And
Mhm.
trauma brings on negative feelings, but not every negative feelings is trauma. So if you have an argument with somebody you love and y'all disagree, it's not necessarily trauma, right? The reason I'm bringing this up is because today I see everybody throwing that word around.
And I guess
Everything is traumatic.
it
Mhm.
depends on how one may internalize that, because you don't have to internalize every experience you have. So like even through my spiritual and healing journey, I had to learn to allow myself to be present, because if you don't allow yourself to be present, a lot of times what we tend to do is rob ourselves from the experience. And we're so used to as people holding on to things from our past. It creates anxiety and stress holding on to the past, because you already anticipating like, okay, well, I've been through this in this past relationship, so now I get with this guy, and first thing that I'm thinking about is the traumatic experience I might have had with the last guy. So you creating these fakes, I can't think of the word, but you creating like,
Scenarios.
yeah, you creating these fake scenarios, and now you driving yourself crazy. You watching him, it just be a little bit too much, Leah.
Yep.
A little too much.
So that to me speaks to triggers. So traumatic experience creates triggers that, if in the right environment, the right wrong environment, trigger detonates, and then now you're thinking about all these negative feelings. So let me ask you a question. Have you recognized triggers in your own life? And if so, yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm letting you finish the question before I start speaking.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, the first part of that is, have you experienced triggers in your own life? And then, if so, what was the thing that caused you to see those?
Okay, so I have recognized the triggers in my life. What caused me to see those? I want to say last year, I was diagnosed with like a rare form of blood cancer. And because I've always been like holistic and things like that, I started like going into like all of these books. I found this one book. I actually got one because it's called Heal Your Body A through Z. And in the book, it talked about how you can heal yourself from anything, and how all the diseases that we have attached to us, whether it's cancer, high blood pressure, depression, anxiety, it can be anything, how all of those things are attached to emotional traumas that we've experienced in our lives. So once I started doing my research, I realized that cancer was linked to sadness. And that started making me feel like, okay, well, I'm creating all of these triggers and traumas and things that's in my life currently as an adult from things that I experienced throughout my childhood because I was sad. And what that did is made me want to change. Like I slowed down. Of course, I didn't want to have a cancer because somebody got to be here to raise my child, you know. So I'm like, okay, I got to stop drinking the alcohol. I got to start doing this. I got to start taking better care of not just my physical health, but my mental health, my spiritual health, my emotional health. And I had to make sure like I was on the up and up psychologically so that I'm able to live life, because I know like sometimes you may have people say things like, I'm not for sure if you ever heard people say, the Buddhists say that life is suffering. And I used to like dig deep into that. And I'm like, life is not supposed to be suffering. Life is supposed to be nothing but a pleasurable experience. And the only thing that keep us from having that pleasurable experience is because we be so attached to the traumas and the triggers because they feel so good to us. They feel good to us because it's familiar. So just really learning how to break those chains so that you can change your life and get like a different outcome.
So if you don't mind me asking that, and I certainly don't want to pry, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I told you earlier when we was talking, I'm doing good. I feel blessed and highly favored. God has been nothing but a blessing to me. I'm doing really good. I'm in a really good space in my life right now, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and I don't think I can ask for anything else. Like I owe that nothing but to God and having an attitude of gratitude for real.
I want to pivot just a little bit.
Okay.
Number one, I just, Lord, I pray for Jasmine. I pray that you keep her, heal her. Thank you in Jesus' name, Amen. All
Amen.
right.
Thank
Now,
you.
I just want to ask. We didn't plan this part at all, but I do want to ask: when you get news like that, I want you to be real with me.
Mm-hmm.
When you get news like that, what does that do here?
Well, actually when I heard it, I was like, oh, cancer. I really thought I was gonna die. So I immediately felt a little depressed. After me feeling depressed, I feel like, okay, well, let me look into these books. I'm always talking about trauma and healing. So I had to be the person that lead by example. Because if I'm telling everybody else anything can be curable, if you believe it, then I have to be the one to practice what I preach. So I just had to change it. I have an aunt, she was a breast cancer survivor, and she's always talking to me daily about like God and like the way that the mind work and just really trying to be better, and the way that she was just pouring into me. And I saw that she was able to change her life around and she's living an abundant life. God is blessing her right now. That was nothing but motivation for me to like kind of change everything around for me. So yeah, um, it broke me down, but just getting up in the morning and looking forward to waking my daughter up every morning for school and dropping her off and telling her when she get out my car, have a beautiful, blessed day. I look forward to that every single day, no matter how tired or stressed I am. I look forward to that. So that was my motivation to get up and do something as opposed to just sitting in my sorrows.
Everybody, Ani, it's good to see you. Dusto, it's good to see you. Broken Berlin, it's good to see you. Johnny Green, it's good to see you. Everybody, I wanted to pivot this because, like, I like to do a professional show, but I don't want to miss a human moment. And Jasmine is a very inspirational, motivational person. She's not the kind of it's just and who I know her to be, and I'm not making this up. She's a go getter. She's a doer. But even go getters and go doers, when they hit a low, they hit a low, and most people can't identify with them there. And the reason I want to pause here is because I think that there were other people who have gone through similar things, and maybe they don't know how to overcome that depression. Like to fall into it and then to pull yourself out of it, that takes an extreme amount of courage and resilience.
Yeah, but you
And
also have to have community as well. Like,
yeah,
nobody, like, I also believe like no man is an island. You get what I'm
and that's what I was about to ask you.
saying? Yeah.
If somebody is on here who is saying, you know what, I've been diagnosed with something, can you share what you've done to help you in your experience?
Community, God, meditate. At one point I was doing Reiki. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's kind of like sound meditation as opposed to doing traditional therapy. I did that, and it's like it's something about the sounds of the music. When you hear it, it trigger like certain emotions and let you cry it out. Sometimes you feel like you want to laugh it out, you sleep it off. A lot of times we just need rest, and because our body is always overworking, just allow yourself to be present, give yourself rest. Don't be afraid to reach out to anybody. If you need help, you need help. We all need help from somebody. So just always reach out and don't be afraid to help, because a closed mouth don't get fed. So I wasn't afraid to use my community. I know I put a lot of seeds in a lot of people's gardens, so it was about time that I was able to like reach out to other people and allow other people to fill my cup. I believe like one time I reached out and I had like a session with you, and doing a session while we were talking, and we was talking about me being a giver. And in the midst of us talking about me being a giver, you saying like, well, you got to learn to allow people to do things for you. And I think that was one thing in my life I was struggling with, was allowing people to take care of me, because I've always been so used to taking care of other people. So during that time where I felt like really, really low and I knew I needed my cup poured in, I just turned to the people in my community and allowed them to fill my cup. And I'm so grateful for the people that shows up for me day in and day out, even if it's just a small text message.
It doesn't get any realer than that, everybody. It doesn't get any realer than that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
All right, listen, you took me for a loop, because I didn't know that y'all, this is the first time I'm hearing this as well. So thank you for sharing that and opening up. I really appreciate that, like, sincerely. All right, now we was talking about triggers. Can't nothing top that, but we were talking about triggers. But you were talking about how you identified some triggers, and I think you were explaining how you were able to identify that.
Yeah. Do you want me to finish going in on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I don't even know how to recenter this, but yeah, let's.
I know I had took a couple of notes because I know I'm always over the place, but how I was able to identify the triggers is I started being a student of self. And I've always tell people it don't even matter who I'm talking to, whether it's a friend, a family, somebody on the streets. Always be a student of self. Like a lot of times what we do is we always looking for other people to kind of like soothe us. So once you start to like look inward and like, okay, well, whenever I'm around this person, I'm feeling anxious, or this person brings out the fight or flight in me. Just really study yourself, and like I said, be a student of self, because your body is your compass. So once you start paying attention to your body and be in tune with self, then that's how you'll understand like, okay, well, this is a trigger. And it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. It can be your place of employment. It can be things with your friends. It can be your diet. You studying your body, you eating certain foods, and you notice like, okay, well, that's how I found out about the cancer stuff. I'm like, man, it don't matter what I eat. I can be drinking water and my body is getting bloated. Let me go to the doctor and figure out what's going on. They did all type of tests, and when they did the blood work, it was like, okay, well, this what it is. So it's just like really paying attention to yourself. Your body is going to let you know everything, whether you're in alignment with something or not. It's going to let you know like, look, this is not right. You need to get up out this situation. You need to get out this room. You need to stop eating this. You need to stop drinking this alcohol. Yeah, your body is a compass. I always tell people that. So yeah. Thank you, girl.
Everybody, this is huge. And let me give you a little story. Let me tell you something. I used to love. Now you're not going to judge me right now. I'm on national television.
I'm not going to judge you.
So I like those flaming hot munchies.
Mm-hmm.
Love them things. Bad dreams. I know what it is. And I started to realize that what you put in your body makes a difference with everything. It makes a difference on how you think, how you sleep. And as I get older, I'm 38 years old. I'm a very seasoned, wise man. I'm 38 years old. I realized that what you eat, it impacts how you feel, right? And I want to feel good. And so in order to feel good, that means certain things that I might be used to and like, I got to let go of. How would you tell somebody this? Like they want to do better, they want to feel better, but they don't want to give up the things that are making them feel bad.
Well, I feel like if you don't want to give it up, then you don't want to do better. I liken it to like, I think the first time I experienced that when I was pregnant with my daughter, that's now 13. A lot of stuff that I ate, healthy stuff, I did not eat healthy. It was just me, single. I was eating a lot of fast food. I was doing a lot of dating, eating out at restaurants. I didn't even know how to cook at the time. But then once I was told like, hey, whatever you eat, she eats. And if you want a healthy child, you have to eat healthy. So that was a sacrifice that I was willing to make. Eat some stuff that I really don't like, for the benefits of it, because it wasn't just benefiting me, it was benefiting my child. So when somebody really, really want to do something and they got their mind set on making that change, they'll do it. Other than that, they just talk. A lot of people just talk because they like the attention. You know, attention is currency. So
Y'all heard it. See, in other words, if you really want to do it, you're going to do something about it. And
yep.
I think that's the approach we have to take. No one can pep talk you into wanting to do better. Like that, this is the fundamental thing. Pep talks help people who are doing it. It doesn't help people who really ain't made a decision yet. So really good stuff. I had another question that I want to pose to you. So let's say two people are in a relationship. This could be mother and child. This can be spouses or friends. And let's say both of them have identified triggers, right? Let's say that. Whose responsibility is it to make sure that those triggers are managed? Is it my job to make sure, you know, I consider the triggers of the person I'm in relationship with, or is that their job?
I think the responsibility lies on both, but I guess the question it all depends on if both parties shared with each other, like, hey, these are my traumas, these are my triggers, this is what I experienced in the past. And if we just say like relationship, a man and a woman, the man expressed that to the woman expressed that. If this is someone that you truly want to invest your time, energy, resources, and you see that it's potential for growth, then yeah, it's on both of them, because we'll be responsible for each other.
That's so good. That's really good, because in a lot of the relationship talk that I hear now, it's easy to say, well, your triggers is your responsibility. And it's true. You own those because they are yours. But if you are investing, it will behoove you to make sure you support them, you know, and not make sure that you trigger them. You have to show that respect. I think that's a very good thing you're saying. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and even if you happen to trigger someone accidentally, be just understanding that you have to give that person grace, because nobody is perfect. You know, we're all human. This is our first time having a human experience, so we can't expect perfection from someone. So if someone happens to trigger you, if y'all, you know, take a little step back and revisit the conversation later on and express, like, you know what, that kind of triggered me. Oh, this is what we can do next time. But just really just understanding, like, we are all humans, and it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic, and it could be a mother and her child, and just giving people grace. Because like, even when it comes to parenting, this is my first time being a parent, and I know when I think back to the way that my mother parented me, it's like, bruh, you ain't even tried, you know. And now when I look at my daughter and I make a mistake, like, I'm always apologizing when I'm wrong, and I explain to her, like, hey, I'm sorry, this is my first time being a parent. I didn't see things from that perspective, because I know, like, back then you will always hear parents say that a child is to be seen and not heard. And with that mentality, a lot of our, especially young women, found themselves being sexually victimized. But working inside of a prison system, I was able to see that it wasn't just young women going through that, it was a lot of young boys going through that as well. So just really, like I said, as a parent, understanding that I'm not perfect and hold myself accountable and apologize. And that's something that a lot of people do not want to do, hold themselves accountable when they're wrong.
You know, that's such a good point. The other part that I want to bring up as well is, if you know somebody has triggers, it is diabolical. It is toxic to trigger them, to control them. It's one of the things that I see in unhealthy relationships, where somebody knows something gets under your skin, right? And they'll push you, and then once you respond or retaliate, then it's like they hold you accountable for your reaction to them detonating your triggers. What would you say if they found themselves in that kind of situation? How do they navigate that?
Leave, because you're intentionally causing harm to me. You're doing it intentionally. It's not like you accidentally doing it. You're doing it purposely. So you're doing it with intention. So you're intending to trigger me, which will further cause me to experience more trauma. So now I'm having a trauma relationship with you, and I'm associating your presence or whatever it is that you're doing is triggering. I'm associating you with that. It's not good. I would just leave that situation. Knowing now what I wish I would have known then, that's exactly what I would do. Just leave.
So, but what if it's a parent child and the child can't leave, or if it's vice versa? How do you navigate that kind of situation?
With a parent child, I can only speak to the experience as an adult. Like when I think about my situation with my mother, it's easier for me now to say, like, you know what, I don't want to have any ties to it. I can move on from the situation because it's not that it's not serving me, but it's not healthy and it's not conducive to the lifestyle that I want to live for myself and I want to share with my child. I want to show my daughter, like, this is how you're supposed to have a healthy relationship with your parent. I feel like it's important, especially as a mother, to monitor the relationships that you have with yourself because your kids are always watching. Even when you think they're not watching, they're always watching. But as a child, it may be a little bit harder to speak on that because I mean, the only thing I could think about as being a kid and having to experience an unhealthy relationship like that with a parent is telling an adult. But back, like I said, back then, a lot of times families didn't do a lot of stuff. They always kept a lot of stuff on a hush.
That's really good. Everybody, I want everybody to take note of what you said. You got to manage and monitor yourself because your kids are watching that. I wonder if some of the triggers that we have are not ours, but they were passed down because of what we saw. Does that happen? Do we hand down? Is that possible to hand down triggers?
I think it's possible, but I also think it's an excuse. So at the expense of like oversharing, I guess because we've been completely transparent on the show. So hey,
Absolutely.
I'm open book. So like I stated, like me and my mom don't have the best relationship. So I believe I want to say when I was doing my podcast and I was talking about like the trauma and the healing, and I asked her before I did one of my shows, like, hey, if you didn't like the way your mother, I asked her, like, when your mom disrespected you, how did that make you feel? And her response was, I didn't like it. So I asked, okay, if you didn't like how that made you feel, why would you do that to your children? So, I mean, I truly believe that if you don't like something, for the most part, you tend to change it. You got to be the change that you wish to see. So that's what makes me feel like it's just an excuse. People say that, like, I've been through this, so I got to put somebody else through that. My father wasn't in my life, me or my brothers. And when I see him every day, I praise him. He may not be the perfect person, but as far as him showing up for his children, he's a father. You know, we didn't have a father. We had a dad. Like we knew who he was, but he wasn't present. So just seeing my brother like grow up and like, hey, I'm not finna follow in the same footsteps as this dude. I'm finna change my life around. I could do nothing but take my hat off to him. Like, you made a change.
Hey, salute. Salute. That's good stuff. You know, that takes an amount of accountability, responsibility for your own life to say, this didn't work and I'm not going to perpetuate that. So salute to you on that. Which brings us to our final thing.
Okay.
So I've been through trauma. I've identified triggers. I think it's time to go see therapy. I think it's about time to go see therapy. What are some of the indicators that a person needs to go see a therapist? Not just their friend circle, not just at the pool hall, but a therapist.
When you just feel like you just need a little extra support, I feel like that's what therapy is supposed to be, to support. Some of the signs, you got to be a willingness to want the help, because the therapists are not out here looking for clients. The clients are always coming because they need the help. So it got to be a willingness to want the help and willingness to put the help.
Wait, I've never thought about it like that. I have never seen a therapist, hey, just in case you need me, here go my card.
Exactly.
That is correct. Implicitly, you've got to want to do better for you to go seek it out. That's a great point.
Yeah. But a lot of people that, like I said, they don't want the therapy. It's easy to be in your friend circles and talk about the same thing over and over again, because like I said, it gives you attention. You're always talking about something, giving you the attention you need. You're talking about something negative, like anything you put attention to, it just grows. So whether it's positive attention grows. If it's negative attention grows. But when you truly, truly, truly want the help, you'll go out and see it. Just like if you have someone that's on a weight loss journey and they say, okay, well, I know when I'm working out by myself, I can work out by myself, but I just still feel like I need that extra push. You can have someone that does not have the financials to do it. Guess what they're going to do? If they got a DoorDash, they're going to find a way to go out there and get that money so they can pay for that professional help, so they can get the desired look physically that they want. So, yeah.
Oh, that's such a good point. You can't force somebody to want help. That's a very good point. I think a lot of couples find themselves in that situation where clearly the person that they are with or even themselves need to be in it, but it's always external pointing. It's always the circumstance and never I need to go get help. So let me ask you a question. So I find me a therapist. What do I expect from them? Like what should I expect from a therapist?
If okay, being realistically, the first time I can speak from my experience, the first time I did therapy, I don't know what to expect. You don't know what to expect. You on a spectrum from don't know what to expect, and on the other spectrum is expecting somebody to fix all your problems. So, but it's almost like in that middle, that's when you have these are the problems because you want somebody to fix problems that you really haven't even identified as a problem. Um, you don't know what to expect when you go to therapy. I got some crazy stories when I went to therapy. And I almost sued the therapist before because it was very inappropriate. But that's another topic. I don't think you want to go up into that. But you don't know what to expect. The only thing you could do is just keep an open mind and an open heart. That's all you can do. If for anybody that's looking for therapy. You said tell a story?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to say when I was I was in college, one of my friends was telling me like how she went to therapy. So prior to therapy, I was always the type of person like I shut down. No one knew that I experienced the amount of trauma that I experienced as a child growing up, anything like that. Everybody, when they look at me like, oh, you doing this, you got all A's in school, you got a business, everything is going right with your life, you got everything but a man. That's typically how my conversations go with like my friends until like one day we'll open up about something and I'll say something. They be like, girl, I know you ain't experienced this. I don't like this person. Or I don't like this because they put you through that. But one of my friends, she told me about this therapist and she said it was a black male therapist. I'm like, okay, this is my first time trying it. And when I had my first session, everything went well. We had the second section the following week, I believe. And we was talking about like my childhood traumas. We got a little detailed about the sexual trauma that I experienced. And he suggested that he bathe me. And I'm just like, he was like he wanted me to be completely naked and he wanted to bathe me. And I just felt like that was so inappropriate because I just opened up to you about the sexual trauma. So I kind of felt like he was kind of exploiting me a little bit.
Wait, everybody, we're going to pause. This show took a turn. So was this a licensed, credible therapist?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That thank you for sharing that. First of all, I'm very sorry that happened. Thank you for sharing it. But it goes to show that just because they're licensed doesn't mean that they have good character. So how do you recover from something like that?
How do I recover? Well, it made me shut down, which is the opposite of what you would do if you're going to therapy. Therapy is supposed to allow you to be open so that you can allow yourself to be present and have good experiences. But what that did is in turn, it made me even shut down even more. It was hard for me to trust people, even when they was in positions that was supposed to like guide me and things like that. So after some time, I'm like, okay, years passed. Let me go ahead and try something different. I tried a lady therapist and she offered some good advice, but it was just like she wasn't hearing me. So you really just it's no right or wrong or like this one therapist fit all. You got to find, because everybody have a different personality. You got to find a therapist with the personality that mesh well with you, because we, as a therapist, you really supposed to guide them, not tell them you got to do this and, oh, your mother is this and your mother is that. It's like, okay, you're supposed to ask the questions. After you ask the questions, give me time to do a little bit of introspection and let me move forward and say, okay, well, maybe I could do this, or maybe I could try another approach, not just kind of like tell me what you would do as if you were in my situation. I don't think that's what therapy is supposed to be. It's supposed to be something
That's
else.
really good. I mean, and I agree with you about the finding the therapist. I too have been through some, and I'm sitting here like, this is a waste of my dearly beloved time. They don't know what they're talking about, right? So I think spending time finding one, and then one who doesn't just hear your stories. Now I'm researching this. To me, there's a generation of a therapist who want to hear your bad stories and coddle your bad stories. Oh my God, this was horrible. This is definitely trauma. And it's venting sessions. It's not even therapy. It's all of it is venting sessions. And I think that's important. But I think that it is what you said. A therapist should be guiding you someplace. So as we're doing therapy, what do you want to get out of this?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're just going in circles, we're just hitting bad stories. It keeps you with this victim mindset, regurgitating bad stories, validating your own sorrow, but to what end?
Exactly.
Mhm.
No,
Listen, you want to share on this one?
I was agreeing with what you were saying. I was
Yeah.
agreeing with what you were saying, yeah, that's exactly what therapy is supposed to be like. It's not supposed
Yes.
to be, I'm going in there and I'm telling you something about my mom, and you like, yeah, your mom lived a half a century and she lived her life and things like that. It's like, okay, well, I'm wanting to navigate, but I guess one thing that I kind of like struggle with as far as like in terms of finding a therapist, when you are someone that's have a certain level of emotional intelligence, you hold yourself accountable when need be. Finding a therapist is like, okay, well, you already know what's going on, how can I help you, and that's something that
Exactly.
I struggle with. Yeah.
Yep. Listen, so just a quick, I'll be when I be having my therapist, as soon as they know you know something, it's like, okay, let me see how deep you go. I'm like, listen, I've been doing this, Robert
Yeah.
S. Feldman, since I was 11 years old. And
Yes.
but the thing is sometimes it's not even about being smart. It's about being understood, because sometimes the answers are in you. And if a therapist asks you the right questions, you'll find the answer within yourself. Um, so how do we know I got a bad therapist? So I got trauma, I got triggers. I went to this therapist. What are some of the signs that let me know that this therapist is not a good match for me?
I would say, like I said, listening to your body, but you can be somewhere and you may have a good therapist, and in the midst of you being in the room doing a therapy session with this great therapist, you may feel annoyed because they're forcing you to hold yourself accountable, and you might feel like this, I guess, like an agitation or something like that. And you're like, oh no, I don't want to listen to it. I wouldn't say that, but you just kind of know. You just got to trust your gut. Your gut is going to tell you everything. But what I found more helpful for me lately is just really allowing myself to sit in solitude and to be still. So I've noticed, like in the past, like I used to have like all of these thoughts, and I'm like, well, I gotta get up, I gotta go to work, I gotta do this for the business, I gotta take care of my baby, I gotta do this, I gotta be present for this person. This person is almost like I'm having like a million thoughts in my head at once. So me just allowing myself to rest, because it's a difference between sleep and rest, but just being still and being still with my thoughts until my thoughts become silent. It's like, okay, well, sometimes being quiet works better than therapy, because a lot of times as people, we just talk too much. Everything don't need to be talked about. You need to just sit with yourself and like, you know what? I'm the problem. I'm overthinking for no reason. I'm thinking about things that are outside my control. So I can't control what this person do. I can control how this is the rules of the job. Like, look, let me take a step back, focus on myself, do some deep breathing, allow myself to be quiet, and just understand that what's for me is for me. You don't have to act all crazy. You don't have to do extra stuff. And I even talk about things like that, especially when I'm talking like to some of the males in my family and some of my really close guy friends. Like even when it comes to dating, like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do this for this woman. Like, no, for someone that truly likes you, you don't have to do all of that stuff. You being yourself is enough.
Oh, wait a minute. You just stepped into some territory right now. So say that one more time. When somebody really likes you,
You don't have to do extra stuff. You just being yourself is enough. You being yourself is enough. You can do small things like, hey, going to a walk in the park, because they're genuinely interested in you. When you have other people that saying like, oh, you have to take me to this place, you have to spend all of this money on steak and seafood. Like, it's so crazy, because I was just literally having a conversation about this the other day. These last couple of years is the most I ever seen women go out and eat seafood. The most I ever seen women like eat like that, seafoods and a steak. Before then, no one was ordering stuff like that or going to these places. But when someone genuinely likes you, they want to know the way you think. They want to know some of your hobbies. They interested more interested in those things, as opposed to trying to get in your pocket and trying to deflate them pockets. So you don't have to do all of that. You being yourself is enough. You don't have to.
I'm gonna have to do a separate show on this, because that's a big point. And I think it's gonna bruise a lot of egos to realize that the more someone is requiring you, the less that they're into you. And it
Mm-hmm.
just is what it is. So good
Yeah.
stuff. Okay. Now listen, I think it's been a cool conversation. This has been pretty cool. So if you could encourage somebody who is going through traumatic experiences, got triggers, and need therapy, from your own experience, your own journey, what encouragement would you give to them?
The first thing I would say to anybody that's looking for encouragement, just start looking in the mirror and understand that you are enough. Everything about you, the way that things are going in your life, you are enough. The second thing I would tell you is pay attention to your body, be a student of self, because your body is a compass. And if you need help, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay. It doesn't make you look weak if you need help. It doesn't make you look less than. It actually makes you look strong, because it takes so much courage to do something outside of your comfort zone so that you can be a better person. Like I said all the time, no man is an island. So if you need the help, ask for help. If you need help, look, send me an inbox on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. I'm an open book. I don't mind making myself available to help people, because I believe we all need someone in our corner, whether it's a stranger or not. And it's crazy because a lot of times I find the best support comes from strangers and not from people that's closest to us. But just keep your head up and don't give up, because life is supposed to be a pleasurable experience. It's not supposed to be suffering. And anytime you feel yourself acting outside of your character, whether it's stress, anxiety, doing those toxic things, that means that you are out of alignment. So anything that's for you wouldn't have you acting outside of your character. But like I said, keep your head up, stay strong, and you got this. You are enough. And I think a lot of times that's what happened. We act out and we be holding on to things because we don't feel that we're worthy. But never give up, and you got this.
Jasmine, as always, you have been a stellar guest. Everybody show your love for the one and the only. Jasmine says it all. Thank you. It's always good to have you on tonight. Everybody, we're going to wrap up the show here. We're going to have to do another part. I like talking with you, Jasmine. It's just too cool.
Yeah.
Everybody, we're going to wrap up here. Connect with Jasmine. I'll have the link in the description to connect with her. Connect with her. She's really, really good people. Jasmine, I appreciate you. Hope you have a great weekend. Everybody in the chat, salute. We love y'all. We'll talk with you guys again soon. Peace. Hold on, let me get my stuff right. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Okay. All right, now peace. Sir Hale speaks in the building.